Okay, here's a subject matter that I don't normally talk about a lot, but it's like once in a while, and it's regarding two TV shows. Well, both CW based. That's in regard of Superman and Lois and Gotham Knights. Obviously, Gotham Knights been on its first season, and then obviously with Superman and Lois been on its third season, and now there's been uncertainty with the DC superhero shows now, because obviously we all know that that the CW is run by a completely different company. Now they got bought out, I think last year, and like say now that most of the other shows have gone, so Supergirl ended on its own accord. You've got a similar thing with The Flash, with its season 9 with, at the moment, 2 episodes left. We might even talk about that a little at the end of this particular subject matter. Obviously, Legend of Tomorrow got cancelled, and same thing with Batwoman. That got cancelled, and obviously, it's kind of inevitable with the company obviously that's taken over. But the latest obviously thing that's going on now is that with Superman Lois coming up, obviously I don't know how many episodes. It's up to season 9. Episode 9 will be in the next episode. That doesn't come back until May 23rd. Similar thing with Gotham Knights. That's on its first season. I think that's 8th or 9th. I think it's the 9th or 10th episode. That will come back again on the 23rd of May. They're both paired on the same day on Tuesdays. Obviously this is in the States. And obviously there's a lot of rumours going around that's all circulating on social media that as to that maybe that one of them may be renewed and one of them won't be. We'll see. Again, this is just speculation in terms of what people are saying, because you can't take everything as being completely gospel until you get the full truth of what's going on. And then obviously I've heard a lot of people complaining about saying that that the possibility of that Gotham Knights is the one that will be saved, and Superman and Lois won't be, considering the fact that obviously that Superman and Lois is the one that is the more critically acclaimed, and I rightfully agree, because my personal opinion on Superman and Lois is I absolutely love the show and the direction that it's going in at the moment, with the characters that they've expanded upon or added to. It's been really great. I think Tyler Hoechlin as Superman has been absolutely fantastic. Elizabeth, I can't remember her name again, who's playing Lois Lane, she's been absolutely fantastic, and there's 2 boys who play the twin brothers. Although obviously we know that one of them is, I think it was the Jonathan has been replaced, because obviously we know the history with the other actor, but generally speaking it's been really good with the storylines and with what's currently going now. You've had Bizarro, you've had John Henry Irons, and then his daughter Natalie, being currently in the show, and the story arc's gone out of her. Bruno Mannheim, the whole story of that. Obviously, even though he's not a character with superpowers, he's still been a threat to Superman. And obviously we've got the up-and-coming Lex Luthor, so that's been good. Gotham Knights, however, obviously we know it's not set in the same Earth. Obviously we know that this is, again, not going to be a spoiler, Bruce Wayne's dead, and the only characters that I think are canon that I've seen in the DC, I think it's Stephanie Brown and Jurella, who's meant to be the Joker's daughter. So I know those things have happened in the comics, and the other characters are not comic based as far as I know, unless they're going to do a twist. And then obviously you got Harvey Dent. Again, obviously in every incarnation of Batman, even in he's been around. So you know, and if I'm going to be honest with my opinion about the show, I think the show's alright. If I'm going to be honest, I think what's harder to take on board is that the fact that there's no established kind of characters from the comics. Like if the main character had been, say, like Dick Grayson or Damian Wayne, for example, I think it would have been easier to kind of swallow with the character. But the fact that they've totally made it up now, again, who knows, there might be a twist with that particular character. And obviously in this universe, Bruce Wayne is dead, and the only thing for me that's kept me engaged with the show is the stuff to do with the Court of Owls, which for me I found interesting, even in the Gotham series and even in the comics, which are currently always about the Court of Owls and how much they have a control of Gotham City. So that's kind of always been, and seen how powerful they are. So that's what's kind of got me engaged in that show, if I'm being honest. But I can still sit and watch it, and it's something to watch, and you know, I can enjoy it for what it is. But I'm not gonna turn around and say that it's the best thing since sliced bread. Obviously, when you compare Superman and Lois between that and Gotham, there's no kind of competition in terms of story plots, special effects, acting, etc., etc. Superman is the better show by a mile. So I'm not gonna you know, kind of defend Gotham. But obviously, you get people basically getting upset because they're saying, "Oh, Gotham's going to be saved." Now, here's the reasoning. And if this is the case, now we're hypothesizing that this is the case. Now, you can sit there and bear in mind that wrongly that although I don't agree with the new owners of CW, what their approach is that they're trying to do now is that they're trying to broaden what they're doing with the CW. So obviously we've seen more sports stuff now. From what I've seen, like it's more golf and Formula 1 or whatever it is that they call it, or the Indy stuff. So they're trying to do more sports stuff, and basically from what we've seen is that it seems like to me that they're trying to cut down the cost of their shows. Now, Superman and Lois is a very expensive show to make. I think it's the most expensive CW show currently, and possibly in the history of the CW. Such as it's expensive, whereas Gotham, Gotham Knights out of the two is the cheaper option. Now, if you're going by the philosophy of what the new owners are going to do, they're not going to sit there and chop. They're not going to even though I would surmise that Superman and Lois is the one that's the better one, received and probably the better in the ratings. They're just going to judge it by by which one is gonna be very expensive to make. And if they feel that the show is too expensive to make and then they're trying to cut cost, then unfortunately that means that out of the two it's going to be Lois and Superman and Lois that's unfortunately might get the cut, because it's a expensive show to make. Now I know obviously shows can get sold off to streaming sites or syndicated, so, and then obviously they, have set it on Blu-ray or DVD that they can make their money upon. Now the only way I feel that they can it could be saved is the fact that one is obviously the ratings, which I assume is doing well, and then two, if it's making them money, so it would commercially make sense for them not to cut something off that's making you money. Obviously we see that in with video games, like if a certain video game franchise is making them money, or even in the movie franchises, then it's less likely they're not going to sit there and cut their nose to spite themselves. So what they're going to do is that they're going to milk it for all it's worth. So it's in their best interest not to kind of get rid of it. But I don't know how it all works in the CW, because obviously I know it's not a full network. So obviously they put a lot of stuff the next day on the CW app. So yeah, if this is the case of what's going to happen, then unfortunately it could mean that Superman and Lois gets the cut, because it's a much more expensive show to run. Again, I don't agree with this, but for them using their logic, I mean, that's the logic. It makes sense that you'll get rid of the more expensive show if you're trying to go for a more cost-cutting way of running your network to save money. And unfortunately, that's just going to mean cutting off the most expensive show. And then, I mean, who knows? Even if they say both of them get renewed, or one of them gets renewed, eventually they might just get rid of the other one, get rid as well. Because as we all know, the Arrowverse is pretty much finished now, as we kind of all know. And with James Gunn taking over, obviously he wants the animated series, the TV series, and the movies all to be connected. So even with the multiverse, so that's going to mean obviously that some of these shows are going to go. Because as we know, Titans is finishing, Doom Patrol is finishing as well, and so some Pennyworth, and all these shows are always set in different universes, and obviously you've got like the multiverse that's going on now. So they're already doing their own little thing. So that would explain as to why if the new owners of CW do have to make a choice in a couple of shows, either they renew both shows or they basically say have to make a choice in cutting which one is going to be the cheaper show to kind of run. And unfortunately, if that's the logic that they're going to use, then it doesn't bode well for Superman and Lois. But again, as I said, this is just speculation. There's nothing set in stone as to what's been happening. But if something does happen, then I might make a video on that if whatever happens nevertheless. But I'm hoping that Superman and Lois does get renewed, because I did hear that they at least want to run it. I did hear that they did want to run it for at least 2 more seasons, so that will take it up to season 5. So I'm hoping that that's what they do, and then they don't kind of rush it, because I know that season 3 wrapped up filming a few weeks ago. So obviously obviously each season ends with a cliffhanger. So at least with the Flash, it's been given a proper ending, even though obviously it's been only 13 episodes. So so let's see what happens. I mean, again, we can't speculate as to what's happening until we hear official news. And the last thing I want to say about is the Flash. Obviously, we know that the ending of it is going to be a 5-parter, a new world, and so far we've got the first 2 parts, and then there's 2 more parts left before it ends, and it's going to be a sad for me ending, because obviously I really love that show, being a big fan of the Flash in the comics, and seeing him in the animated shows, animated movies, and obviously the original 90s series with John Wesley Shipp. So I'm a big Flash fan, as people may know, massive fan. I'm a big Wally West fan. That's the Flash that I grew up with, and you've seen me upload the Flash comics on my YouTube channel, so it's going to be sad to end that. I've heard now my thoughts on season 9. I mean, I've actually liked it. I mean, I'm not going to lie and turn and say that it's been grade A quality 10 out of 10 stuff. And do I think it could have been a bit stronger? Yeah, I actually do agree that it could have been. But in general, I've actually enjoyed it. The Red Death storyline, I loved the twist that they kind of did on that. Obviously, we know that they've had to rush some storylines, because obviously it's kind of ending. You've only got 13 episodes to do it in. And then I've even heard some people say that with what's going on with the all New World, for the last 4 episodes as to as to how they ended up, that they should have done that in the very beginning. And I'm going to say something very controversial, so I kind of don't agree with that, because I think if you had done so, obviously we saw what happened with part 1, where season 1 of the Flash becomes full circle in terms of the events of Barry's mother's death and how that wraps up, and it kind of ties up everything. And then obviously the stuff with Malcolm Gilmore and who he really is, which is in episode 2, which I don't want to spoil in case people haven't watched it yet. And I think if they had done that in the beginning, for me, I don't know how, and we don't know again what the rest of the 2 parts are how they're going to end. Although I do know with the finale, all I'm going to say is evil speedsters. I'll leave it as that. And for me, it would have been if you'd done something as epic as what they've done so far, how then would you have ended the finale of season 9 if you've done that in kind of the beginning? It would have been a hard way of topping it. I mean, some people would have done is that they would have said, okay, if we had done these last 4 episodes, the story plot at the beginning, people would have said, oh well, that felt more like of a finale than the finale that we got given. So it's hard trying to top what would have happened if they'd done the ending at the beginning. Again, as for the episodes that they had done previously, they could have been stronger, but I feel that I'd rather it go out strong with the budget and epic storylines and then epic ending than do it at you blow your load at the beginning of it, but then at the end of it, it kind of is a disappointing finale, because the amount of shows I've seen where the finale's been kind of very disappointing, and then you've seen the episodes before and they felt more like of a finale than the actual finale itself. So yeah, I'm glad that so far what they've done with the last 4, what they've been doing the last few episodes, the last graphic novels, as they call it, as to how that's going to end. All we can hope for is that we get a really epic finale and a really good satisfying ending to a really good to a really good show. So yeah, that's my take on the CW shows. And then one thing I want to mention is that normally when they do the renewals for the shows, sometimes they may renew them really early. So sometimes it can happen from about February, March up until early May, early April, May. They haven't done that so far, so we don't know kind of what's going on. And I don't know what's going on with the other CW shows. So you got shows like the All American, and we know that Riverdale is ending, and you got Walker, Texas Ranger. I don't know if that's been renewed yet. So I don't know if any of the shows have been announced for renewal yet. So all we can do is wait and see what happens with these shows. So for Superman and Lois, fingers crossed that it gets renewed for another season. And if that is the last one, then we get a proper ending. So fingers crossed.